Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a comparison video for you. And today I've got something really interesting that I think you guys will get some benefit out of. I have two knives here that fill a really unique role. And these two knives, I would say, are knives that are going to give you the super deluxe high-end experience without paying the super deluxe high-end prices. All right. And so, maybe you've been collecting, maybe you've got a bunch of Spydercos and Civivis and Cold Steels, and you hear people talk about these high-end expensive knives, right? Whether it's Chris Reeve and Hinderer, or whether it's Shirogorov and a Koenig Arius, or a Holt Spectre, or something of that nature, something from, I don't know, Brown Knives, or any of the high-end mid-tech marketplace. And you've thought, man, what is all the fuss about? What is all the hype about? Well, I would suggest to you that these two knives that you're looking at, the top one being the RealSteel Lynx, the bottom one being the Reate Torrent, are two knives that you could get, either one of these really, and find out what all the fuss is about. They don't cost the same as those super expensive knives, but in terms of performance, in terms of fit and finish, the way the action feels, the attention to detail, they're pretty well there. Like, you're not really going to, let's say, feel this, the action on this, and say, wow, that's great action. If you compare this to your average Spyderco or something, you'll be like, whoa, this is crazy good. Same with this, but what isn't going to happen is you're not going to feel this action and then pick up, I don't know, a Holt Spectre or a Koenig Arius or something and say to yourself, it's just miles above and beyond, right? It's very close. And in fact, when it comes to high-end action, there are different preferences and different ways of doing things. And so, really these probably land in the middle of a fairly wide pack. Okay, so I want to give you a quick rundown on these two knives so that you can kind of have an idea which one do you like better, which one is going to continue to hold my place, as this really exemplary option for something that delivers all the high-end goods without the crazy high-end price. First of all, let's quickly hit size and weight. Both of these are, 8.5-inch knives, 8.25-inch, 3.5-inch blade, 5-inch handle type of. They all fit that genre. Okay. The RealSteel is a little smaller at 3.25 inches, or 8.25 inches. Well, this guy's a full 8.5, and the blade is like 3 5/8 versus 3.5. But they're very similar in overall size, and that typical 3.5-inch blade, 5-inch handle. All right, the Reate is heavier at almost 6 ounces, while the RealSteel comes in at only 3.7 ounces. And so while they're similar, the RealSteel definitely carries easier, and it does weigh considerably less. All right, so if that's a major consideration for you. On the other hand, if one of the things you're looking for out of something a little higher end is something that feels very substantial, not that the RealSteel doesn't, but there is going to be a little extra weight on the Reate. Now let's talk about the blade. We do expect high-end materials, and of course the Reate comes in with M390 Harpoon blade shape there with this gorgeous satin finish and stone wash on the flats. This blade is truly beautiful. It's also extremely well balanced. It's a tough blade. It's versatile. It's thin enough behind the edge that it still cuts really well. Okay, moving over to the RealSteel here, it's nice and thin behind the edge. Similar, premium feeling, thick blade stock, very substantial. All right, some nice little details here with this fuller with a bead blast inside. S35 VN, so not quite as high end on the steel. All right, now remember, there's a difference in price here. There is a, as I said, I think this is like $325 and this is like $240 or something like that. But both of these blades are very nice, very well balanced, very useful. I like the design of the Reate just a little bit better. And of course, I like M390 a little better than S35 VN. Moving over to the action. Now, this is going to be an interesting discussion. The RealSteel just feels so clean and so precise. The detent is nice. It's a little bit softer than the Reate. All right. Well, on the other hand, the drop shuttiness, I guess, on the RealSteel, it does drop a little easier than the Torrent. All right, not that the Torrent doesn't drop shut well. Both, again, feel very premium, very snappy, very well done. Overall, pretty comfortable. The biggest differences are going to be, one, I do like the geometry better. So notice how the flipper tab is up closer to the pivot. Here, the flipper tab is a little lower than the pivot. I'd like to see this up here. I just find that normally delivers slightly better action. And although the RealSteel has great action, it's the flipper tab is not my favorite placement. All right, where this does shine is access to the lock bar. Performance of the lock bar is essentially perfect. Like, it just feels like you're pushing a button. I also really, really love the second opening option provided by the Fuller to either thumb roll or even to Spidey flick. That's not something you're going to be able to do with your Torrent. Every once in a while, I can get it to open with thumb stud. There you go. But it's the thumb. They're actually these are stop pins, not thumb studs. So it's not really meant to function that way, where this is meant to have the dual opening capacity. The action, again, on both is phenomenal. The detents are really, really nice. Everything is comfortable. Everything feels dialed in. So they're very, very close. I'm going to give the RealSteel a slight edge because I really appreciate that second opening option. Now, let's talk about the handles a little bit. The handles on the Torrent are this very clean, nicely milled titanium, blue hardware for some accents, as well as this backspacer that's satin finished with some blue dimples there. Again, and blue anodizing on the inside of that. Those little details really, really stand out about both of these knives. If we switch over to the RealSteel, we've got this gorgeous carbon fiber, nicely contoured. Again, beautifully chamfered titanium liners that tie beautifully into, I think I said beautifully too many times in that sentence, but that tie really, really nicely into the scales. Little bit of detail there again on the backspacer, no extra coloring, but both of these are just really nicely done. Like, they're not over the top, which is something I do find Chinese companies will sometimes be guilty of. Both of them are actually pretty well balanced, and really offer that nice approach. They both look very clean, very classy, very elegant, well put together. The fit and finish on both of them is essentially perfect. Like, there's just nothing missing in that regard. The only point here to make is that the RealSteel, because it's high end, it's as high end as it is, it feels like it needs a milled titanium clip just to tie in with the rest of the knife. Not the end of the world, but certainly, I like the added, I guess, class of the titanium clip with the ceramic ball from the Reate. So in terms of looks, I think they're a tie. In terms of feel in hand, I have to say the RealSteel does feel a little bit nicer. Those contoured carbon fiber scales are so comfortable. They just feel perfect. Exactly the way you would want a knife to feel in hand. This is really, really great. This is still very good, and I do like the option to choke up, even though that the finger choil is a little small for it. I can still do it. But in terms of comfort in hand, I like the RealSteel a little bit. In terms of details and just the overall feel, I like the Reate just a little bit more. Overall, both have exceptional fit and finish. They both punch well above their weight, and really both offer you all that you would expect from any high-end knife. Right? If I paid $1,000 and I got either one of these out of the box, I would be completely satisfied and be, in fact, really, really impressed. Both of these are truly impressive knives. In terms of value, the RealSteel is less, $80 less or something like that, which is nothing to sneeze at. not everyone is going to be into this design. The Torrent can also be found pretty readily on the secondary market. It's getting to be an older knife now, so it could be starting to become hard to find. I hope they will do another run. If not, there are other Reate knife models that but here's what I would say. I would look for the Reate knife models that have the dual row ceramic bearings. There is a difference in the way that action feels compared to the single row ceramic bearings. All right, so there you go, guys. Both really, really spectacular options. Both all that you could ever want from a high-end knife and more. Very satisfying, very enjoyable. You can go check either one of these. I think White Mountain Knives should have one or both of them in stock, and go over to Southern Edge Knife Works. They may have some as well. I'm trying to remember if Southern Edge carries Reate. I'm pretty sure they do carry some RealSteel stuff. Can't remember if they carry Reate or not. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking those channel sponsors out. We'll talk to you soon.